For my presentation, I did my topic on diseases transmitted to humans via animals. I chose this topic because I felt that it's very relevant, and it's been relevant for many years. I believe that these diseases transmitted by animals have many different reasons for coming about, and I think there's also many different reasons to stop it. So I really wanted to dig into it and figure out exactly where they came from, exactly what they are, and their symptoms, and how they could possibly be stopped. Yeah. So, to dive into it a little bit deeper, what exactly are these types of diseases? And they're known as zoonotic diseases, or zoonose, I think that's how you say it. But they're basically illnesses that can be transmitted from animals to humans, which are caused by bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi. This, I feel like, is pretty known to everyone, especially, if you get food poisoning from food, or you get some of the serious symptoms, that it's definitely from the food that you ate. So that's basically what these are. And animals may carry these germs without even showing signs of illnesses. So, like, when we go out and we're, finding these animals for us to eat, sometimes it might not be known, or the signs might not be there that this animal has some sort of illness. And that makes it challenging for us to be able to prevent these illnesses from being spread. Because, again, like, how are we supposed to know that that animal had any sort of illness going on without any signs? So these illnesses are both internationally and in the United States. So they're very relevant all around, and I feel as though it happens when you are, eating animals and, all of that stuff. So it's bound to come about. 3 out of the 4 newly discovered or emerging infectious diseases have their origins in animals, while around 6 out of 10 known infectious diseases in humans are derived from animals. So a lot of our diseases are from animals, and like I said above, it's caused by bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi, and any time that is in the human body, it's not good for it, and that is a given. And that, unfortunately, I feel as though just something that comes with, like I said, eating animals and eating stuff like that. So there's a few different ways that transmission can happen. The first one is direct contact. This could be from touching bodily fluids such as blood, urine, mucus, excrement, or animal saliva, such as when touching, biting, or scratching an animal. So, for example, like whenever you see a raccoon or a fox out during the day, it's very unlikely. So you know that animal has some sort of rabies going on with it, or some sort of something's not right with that animal. So those are different types of ways that you can find out what's going on with that. So in that circumstance, you don't want to touch that animal. You don't want to go near it. You don't want to get its blood, urine, mucus, saliva, any of it on you, because that, unfortunately, is how you could get a type of disease. This also is with birds, rabbits, deer, any animal outside in nature. I feel like is challenging because you don't want to touch it and risk getting that disease. Not all of them have it, but many of them do, so it's just one of those circumstances you'd rather be safe than sorry. The next one is going to be indirect contact. This would be contacting animal contaminated objects such as surfaces, spaces, soil, barns, coops, cages, etc. So this is very similar to direct contact, but it's just indirect. So it's not the animal itself, it's the area that it's contaminated. So like it said, like the coops, the soil, the cages even, those are extremely contaminated, especially in those animals that do have those disease. It's very easily to be spread that way. If you're going to clean a cage, or you see an animal on the side of the road and it touched something and then you touch it, it's very easy for you to indirectly get that from that animal. Next one would be vector-borne, which is being bitten by insects or ticks that carry pathogens. This is also a very common one, such as ticks. Ticks are one of the biggest ones to spread any type of infectious disease. They get on humans very easily, and once they get in there, unfortunately, they cause different things such as Lyme's disease, and you just really want to go and seek professional help and medical care if you do have a tick end up inside of your skin. It's definitely not good for you, and this is a perfect example of vector-borne. Even being bitten as well. Like, I know that spider bites can also have a negative effect on humans and could cause some of these diseases. So those are just some examples of that one. Next one would be foodborne. Eating or consuming contaminated food or drinks. Some examples there from the animals. So this is one of the other most common ones, especially raw or undercooked meat. That is a huge one. I think that a lot of people really enjoy raw food and undercooked meat as a personal preference, and that's totally okay. But it is important to be safe with these circumstances. You don't want to get these types of diseases, and we can jump into that a little more into the presentation, but those are also huge ways that we can prevent from these diseases being spread through the raw or undercooked meat. And lastly is waterborne, exposure to water contaminated by animal waste or contaminated with animal waste. So all of these direct or transmissions are pretty self-explanatory. They, I feel as though they are a perfect example of how easy you can get these types of diseases without taking preventative measures. So the next topic I want to dive into with this is exactly why we do eat animals and we have that sort of possible transmission. And one of the main reasons is the nutritional benefits. Animals give us so many nutritional benefits. I mean, there are vegetarian and vegan diets, which are great nutritional benefits as well. But, eating meat, eating fish, eating eggs, dairy, all of those give humans so many nutrients like protein, vitamins, so many things that really help us stay healthy. And so it says it gives all 9 necessary amino acids as they are present in animal products, especially the main ones I just listed. And this is in proper amounts for human consumption. So we basically get all 9 necessary amino acids in just that one setting of that particular food from that animal. And that's why when you're younger, your parents really want you to eat a lot of meat and protein and all of that. And it's because it's crucial for when you're younger, developing, or even athletes or recovering patients. These proteins could just really help you heal. And if you're unwell, or help you grow muscles, or help you perform well in a sport. It says that it also helps regulate hormones, enzymes, muscle growth again, and tissue healing. So all around, these nutritional benefits just really help humans stay healthy and fit, and it's just good for us to eat all around. Some examples of transmitted diseases would be the cat scratch disease and Lyme's disease, which we said, plague, Q fever, salmonella, that is a very common one, which comes with eating raw food, tuberculosis, malaria, trichinosis, Ebola, Mpox, and rabies. So a few of those in there are one of the most common ones, such as the salmonella, the rabies, and the Lyme's disease. And all of the above examples are each a different example of the other examples that I gave of how these diseases can be transmitted. What animals carry these diseases? So there's a few, and there's definitely more than what's on the screen, but bats, birds, cats, deer, dogs, livestock, rodents, all of the above, they are really big transmitters when it comes to these diseases. How are these diseases diagnosed? So it would be blood, stool, sputum, mucus swabs, and in some cases imaging testing. This entirely depends on your case and your symptoms. If it's more severe, they're going to want to do an imaging test. If it's, one of the first days, they're going to do a blood or a stool test, which are one of the most common ways. So overall, there's many different animals that you can get this sort of disease from, and there's many different ways that you could be diagnosed with it. But it's important to try and jump on it if you see any types of symptoms or anything like that, because the sooner you catch it, the sooner you can help it. To continue, some of these symptoms for these diseases include fever, tiredness, headache, body aches, rash, diarrhea, vomiting. So these are all very common symptoms of like a flu or normal, I don't want to say diseases, but these are very common symptoms for many other sicknesses. A fever, especially tiredness, is such a simple symptom that could be so overlooked. A headache, I think a rash is a big one that can give it away. That one, I know a lot of spider bites, you can get rashes, and especially I believe certain ticks, you can get a reaction to it. So there's many different ways of finding these symptoms, and like I said, it's just really important to, if you have any or especially multiple of these symptoms, to get on it and get checked right away, because you do not want it to become something bigger than it already is. How are these illnesses treated? So many of these are treated by antibiotics, antivirals, antifungals, antiparasitic medications, monoclonal antibodies, surgery, and then vaccination. So there are many vaccinations. I believe there's a vaccination for rabies, a bunch to help you not get these diseases from these animals. But again, some people may not want to take those or have those vaccinations, which is totally okay. But they are at higher risk of getting these diseases transmitted to them in those situations, unfortunately. So medications often help with these, and antibiotics are a big one as well. So, how do humans influence wildlife diseases? This is huge because obviously we are choosing to put ourselves at risk when we go near these animals, especially when we eat them. So our behavior definitely shapes and increases the risk of these diseases. These can be accelerated by high density animal. Sorry, I lost my train of thought, but especially it says antibiotic abuse can lead to resistance. So overall, if you take your vaccinations or you have a particular medicine, or you're wise about not eating super raw food or going near these specific animals that may transmit the disease, your behavior is helping decrease the risk of these diseases. If you are constantly eating raw food, you're not being self-aware of the animals you're going near, all of the above, you are at higher risk of these diseases. Another way could be changes in land use, habitat, and human encroachment, which is formerly isolated species closer together. So it's just another example of how exactly we help spread these diseases. Unfortunately, we do not help prevent them, we help spread them. So the closer that these animals are to each other, the more that they are going to spread it to each other, and the more that it's going to come back to humans when we eat them. The less animal, or just even be around them, not just eat them, the more that they are being infected by each other, the more that we are going to be affected. Some common issues that add to disease transmission. So these are, again, actions and behaviors of humans that help, I don't know if help is the right word, but that are a cause of these diseases being transmitted, such as the germs are transferred when cutting boards, knives, or other surfaces used for raw and cooked food without being properly cleaned. This is huge. And this is where restaurants and humans and all of us can be. I'm so sorry, I have a really bad cold. This is where we can really help prevent these from being spread. When a restaurant uses raw meat, that cutting board needs to be washed every single time. That knife needs to be washed. If you're cooking in your house, use gloves, or just be very self-aware of the food and the raw meat that you're touching. Until that meat is cooked, your hand should not be anywhere near your mouth, should not be anywhere near your face, should be strictly on the food and then cleaned immediately. Another one, like I said many times, is the uncooked meat, poultry, or eggs. These are such simple ways that these diseases are being transmitted to humans, and there's so many simple ways that we can prevent this. Another huge one is improper storage of refrigeration. If you leave chicken out, if you leave meat out, and you go to cook it or you go to eat it, it's not good. And therefore you're at risk of getting a certain bacteria or viral or fungi transmitted to you, because these foods grow that bacteria on the food or pathogens, and then it is in your system now. So now you have a sort of transmitted disease. Another big one would be, instead of eliminating bacteria, washing meat or produce in tainted water can spread them. Prevention needs to work on several levels, ranging from personal habits to international regulations. Early detection and control are based on risk assessment, biosecurity, and surveillance. This could be government control. This could be the head of a restaurant. This could be the head of a farm owner. Anybody can take these preventions and take them seriously. They must take into account not only biological aspects, but also ecological, social, and economical, and ethical aspects. This is a huge one, but the public trust and behavior depend on effective communication and government participation. When certain foods are recalled, we trust that the government knows what they're doing and they're going to put the food back and allow us to, or tell us that it's safe again. If that food is not safe again and we start to get sick, that's when we lose trust in the government. So trust is a huge, huge thing. And instead of overly intensifying animal production, policy should move toward, again, ecological, resilient, and sustainable systems. So altogether, these solutions are pretty simple and could so easily be implemented. So it is the job of the government, it's the job of business owners, it's the job of all those that have huge that have a role in possibly spreading these diseases to stop them. So again, diving into the government currently has protocols with this sort of stuff, but they do continue to face challenges, such as fragmented data, uneven surveillance, and then poor inter-agency collaboration in spite of framework. So right now, this is being highlighted by the GAO, and a lot of times restaurants will have people come in and make sure that everything is clean and safe and people are able to eat there and not be sick. These protocols are very, very key to preventing these diseases, and they need to be kept up with every single year. These restaurants need to be checked religiously, and this can really help prevent the diseases. It's not just restaurants as well. It's like, if there needs to be protocols, if there's animals on the streets, or any sort of interaction with an animal that could possibly have this disease, there really does need to be strict protocols and preventative measures. Sorry. So again, going back to the preventative measures, as I've said, avoid touching dead or injured or wild animals, especially with bare hands. It is still risking it with gloves on, but it does help prevent it. And we should take anything. Gloves, a towel, you ever see someone help an animal on the side of the road, always go and try and find something so you are not directly touching that animal. Avoid handling sick or unusually behaving animals. Again, if you see a fox or an animal that's not supposed to be out during the day, really, really take preventative measures to stay away from it or find it help. There's many different people you can call for that. Practice good hygiene. Again, washing hands after contact with animals or contaminated surfaces, raw meats. Just washing hands is super important. It's definitely going to help prevent it from being transmitted. Again, dietary caution. Especially if you're pregnant or you have a bad immune system, just stay away from the raw foods and undercooked seafood, all of the above. It's just super important, especially when pregnant, to do that. Wash or peel fruits. Not washing your food when it needs to be washed or it's recommended to be washed is automatically putting you at risk of getting these types of diseases. So, as annoying as it might be or inconvenient, it will help you in the future. Cook meat thoroughly. This really helps to kill the viruses, the bacteria, or the parasites that could possibly be in it. You want to kill those and then you can enjoy your food. It may take a little bit longer. It may not be your ideal, way of cooking, but it will help you, again, in the future. Proper kitchen hygiene, as we discussed, cleaning those cutting boards, cleaning those utensils, smallest little actions like that will really, really help in the future. Again, vaccination. It's a very, very powerful tool. Many people are against it, and everyone is entitled to their own opinions, and that's so extremely valid. But they do really help your body fight. If you do get that disease in your system, your body is now able to help fight it so it doesn't stay in your system or it doesn't become something bigger. So in conclusion, as we've discussed, all of these infectious diseases are easily spread, and there's many different ways that it can be spread, and it's important for humans to take preventative measures to help do so and prevent these. These are just some of the certain things that help, departments that help to prevent these diseases or are there for those who may need it, especially the CDC. You see them really trying to help not spread these diseases, and yeah. So that's basically it. These are my references. Just be very self-aware, and overall I've learned that these diseases are spread a lot more commonly than we know, which is why they're very popular, unfortunately, and very well known and spread extremely easily. So if we just take preventative measures, if the government works hard to help us take those measures, overall these diseases will be spread a lot less, and animals can enjoy their life and we can as well.